Hello everyone, welcome to my top 10 best movies of 2021 video. I cannot believe how fast 2021 flew by. We are already at that time of the year where I get to share with you my personal favorite movies of the past year. I've seen a total of 132 new releases in 2021, and I have to say, I thought it was a pretty solid year for movies overall. Before I share with you my top 10 favorite movies of 2021, there's a couple of things that I want to say. I say this every year, but this is my subjective list. It's impossible for me to see everything. So there might be a couple of movies that you think should be on the list, but they won't be. And if it pisses you off that much, you can always make your own list. Additionally, I have 5 honorable mentions, and I want to discuss them very quickly before I share with you my 10 favorite movies of 2021. My first honorable mention is Saint Maud. This was an excellent psychological horror film that blew me away. It was from a first-time director, and I thought it was such a fascinating character study. A24 had a very weird release strategy with this movie, and I think that's why many people haven't seen it yet. But I saw it early in 2021, and I loved it. The final shot, too, was very haunting. The next honorable mention is The Mitchells versus the Machines. Hands down, this is my favorite animated movie to come out in 2021. I think it should win the Oscar for Best Animated Feature, although I don't think it will. This movie has so much charm, heart, and really funny humor. It's a type of movie I think the whole family can enjoy, and I thought the characters were really great. I wish I saw this one in theaters. My next honorable mention is In the Heights. 2021 was such a great year for musicals, and In the Heights stands out as one of the absolute best in a genre. The musical numbers, the dance sequences, and the soundtrack as a whole was spectacular. And I have not seen the Broadway show this movie is based off of, but I love the way this movie was translated on the big screen. It's a shame that this movie bombed at the box office. My next honorable mention is King Richard. This was such a wonderful and inspiring biopic that really is the crowd pleaser of the year. It's also one of the best sports dramas I've seen in a long time. Will Smith is an absolute revelation in this movie. I believe he's a current frontrunner to win the Best Actor Oscar. And if he wins it, I wouldn't be mad at all. One of the many great things about this movie is that you don't have to be a tennis fan to enjoy it. This movie is made for everyone, and it's just a great movie in general. My last honorable mention is Mass. This movie was an emotional roller coaster, to say the least. I actually saw this movie recently. I saw it after many months of hearing nothing but positive things, and I have to say, it really is powerful. This film mainly takes place in one location, and it's mostly 4 actors having a conversation about a certain topic. But it really sticks with you. And like I said, it's one of the most powerful films I saw in 2021. If you ever decide to see this movie, make sure you have a box of tissues with you. And those are my honorable mentions. I loved all 5 of those movies, and I'm surprised they didn't make the top 10. But that goes to show you how good of a year 2021 was for movies. And with that said, here's a countdown to my top 10 favorite movies of 2021. Number 10, kicking off the list is No Time to Die. After many delays, I am happy to report that No Time to Die is in fact a real movie, and it was very much worth the wait. This film is an emotionally satisfying and action-packed sequel that does a wonderful job closing out the franchise. Its 2-hour and 45-minute runtime is warranted, and the story is just so investing. I don't think I've seen Daniel Craig as good as he was as James Bond. He really is terrific in this film. Everyone has their time to shine, and the action sequences are phenomenal. I would not say this movie reaches the heights of Casino Royale or Skyfall, but it is way better than Quantum of Solace and Spectre. Thank you, Daniel Craig, for being James Bond for the past 15 years. You will be missed. Number 9. At number 9, we have West Side Story. God bless Steven Spielberg. He truly is one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. Only Spielberg could justify the existence of another adaptation of the 1957 Broadway play after the 1961 Oscar-winning film. This is honestly my favorite Spielberg film in the past 15 years or so. The passion behind the camera while telling the story is very much present, and on a technical level, this was truly masterful. Everyone in the cast killed it, and the way the musical sequences are directed was stunning, to say the least. This certainly was one of my favorite movies to watch on a big screen as well, and despite the story being timeless, Spielberg's modern touch really makes it stand out on its own. As I stated before, 2021 had a lot of great musicals, and in my opinion, West Side Story stands out as the best. Number eight. At number eight, we have A Quiet Place Part 2. I am so happy this movie delivered because I had high expectations, and this movie was delayed so many times that it started to piss me off. I thought the first one that came out in 2018 was excellent. It was a highly innovative film with a really clever premise. In my opinion, A Quiet Place Part 2, it's a masterclass in tension, suspense, and terror. To say that this film amped up the anxiety-inducing atmosphere is really an understatement. It really amps up the horror, and it does what a great sequel should do. It takes everything that was great about the first one, and it just expands upon them, and it really took its time to build the world that this movie takes place in, and I really appreciated it for that. I also think it's awesome that Cillian Murphy is in this movie because he's one of the most underrated actors of all time, and he was awesome in the film. This movie had bigger stakes, it explored the characters more, and the story arc was a lot more compelling. A Quiet Place Part 2 is hands down one of my favorite movies of 2021. Number seven. At number seven, we have The Suicide Squad. Most of you who know me know that 2016's The Suicide Squad was such a massive disappointment for me. I remember being so excited for that movie and it let me down completely. This new one is so much better in every single way. This is hands down one of DC's best movies. And the way James Gunn directs this movie is marvelous because you can tell from the opening scene that he has full control and his style is all over this film. The humor, the rated R violence, and just the heart of it all. This movie has so many great characters, it's hard to really pinpoint a favorite, but I loved all the characters, and each member of the Suicide Squad team has a time to shine. The movie is very unpredictable as well, and the stakes were really high. I have to say, it was definitely one of my favorite action movies to come out in 2021, and it's probably my favorite movie of the DCEU thus far. The Suicide Squad delivered and more, and damn, I can't wait to see the Peacemaker show that's coming out in a few weeks. Number six. So there's been a number of divisive films that came out in 2021. And the most divisive film on my list is my number six, which is Last Night in Soho. So this is definitely one of the most unique films to come out in 2021. And it was very different from what I was expecting. This is such an incredibly written film that had me captivated from the start to the end credits. It starts off a certain way, but as it goes on, it becomes more intriguing, and the shift of genres is really smooth, in my opinion. But other than the inventive story and the engaging mystery this movie has, it's also visually stunning with some of the best cinematography I've seen in 2021. The performances are top-notch as well, and the soundtrack is fantastic. It's a little hard to talk about this movie without giving away plot details, but I was pretty baffled by some of the criticism this movie has. I actually saw this movie twice, and the second time I saw it, I loved it and appreciated it even more. So I know there are some people who say it's the worst of the year, which I don't agree with at all. It's one of my favorites. It's my number six, obviously. And Edgar Wright has a lot of range as a director. I mean, his previous work included Baby Driver and Scott Pilgrim versus the World, Shaun of the Dead, and he made something like this, which is so different than those three movies, but it still feels like an Edgar Wright movies in all the best ways. So Last Night in Soho is one of my favorite movies of 2021 for sure. Number five. My number five is Judas and the Black Messiah. I saw this movie back in February, and after I saw it, I said to myself, there's no way this movie won't be in my top 10 best movies of 2021 list. And sure enough, it is my number five. It's been a while since I've seen a movie that's as tense, hard-hitting, and palpable as Judas and the Black Messiah. This movie is absolutely phenomenal. From the opening scene to the end credits, I was completely invested with the characters, the story, and the messages it was trying to convey. This film has this energy that really differentiates itself from other biopics. Without exaggeration, I think this is without a doubt one of the best acted and directed films I've seen in years. It kind of reminded me of the movie The Departed in some ways. Daniel Kaluuya, who won the Oscar for this movie, there's no arguing that. It's his best performance of his career, and everyone else is just on fire in this film in terms of performances. All of the actors were terrific, and I'm glad I saw a movie about Fred Hampton. It was simultaneously informative and engaging. Number four. My number four is 9 Days. Now, I'm willing to bet the majority of you who are watching this video, who are not film buffs, are wondering what the hell this movie is. And I blame Sony Pictures Classics for that because the marketing for this movie is terrible. The way this movie was released was so dumb and inaccessible. So really, no one really knows about 9 Days. And it's a damn shame because this was such an astonishing film. 9 Days is a movie that really stuck with me after I saw it. It's one of the most original films I watched in 2021, and it allows the viewer to contemplate the meaning of life and what it ultimately means to be alive. And that may sound very cliche, but trust me when I tell you that writer and director Edson Oda, he really takes you on a journey that's unlike any other. This movie has similar themes to the Pixar film Soul. I would actually think watching those two films as a double feature would make for a life-changing experience. And the cinematography is outstanding. The score was beautiful. And like I said before, it's really unlike anything I've seen in 2021. Winston Duke, he delivers a subdued and fantastic performance that ranks as his best. And it's best to go into this movie without knowing much because I think that's the best way to see it. Number three. My number three is Licorice Pizza. I had a smile throughout my face for the entirety of this film. This film has this immaculate vibe that makes the viewer want to live in the world, and personally, I couldn't get enough of it. A huge shout out to Cooper Hoffman and Alana Haim, I think I said that right, for delivering brilliant performances despite never acting in a movie before. These characters have such great chemistry, and seeing their individual arcs and struggles was enthralling, to say the least. Licorice Pizza was also absolutely hilarious, and it manages to feel unique in its own way. It's kind of like the movies Boogie Nights and Punch Drunk Love, like the best elements of those, while also being its own movie. It is from director Paul Thomas Anderson, after all, and he does such a great job directing this movie. It's a coming-of-age film that essentially feels like a love letter to the 1970s, and there's a lot of famous actors in this movie too, but they don't get a lot of screen time. They still definitely shine in their small roles, though. And I've read some people say that this would be a good companion piece to the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I can definitely see that. This is a coming-of-age film that's quickly becoming a favorite of mine in the genre, and the soundtrack was delightful, too. Number two. My number two is Spider-Man No Way Home, the first movie in the pandemic to gross over $1 billion worldwide. That is not surprising, but it's also a remarkable achievement. Spider-Man has always been my favorite Marvel superhero, and to say that this movie was a love letter to Spider-Man fans in the best way possible is quite the understatement. I know this movie's been out for a couple of weeks already, and a lot of people obviously have seen it, but with that said, I'm still not going to give away spoilers, so here's what I'll say. This movie does such a great job of juggling a lot of things, but still primarily focusing on Tom Holland's Spider-Man character arc. And I have to say, Tom Holland gives the best performance of his career his career in general, but also as a Spider-Man character. I mean, he really goes through a lot in this movie. And the third act in particular is just epic. I mean, the whole movie is, but that third act in particular really shines. And I was just such a happy person. This is fan service done in the completely right way. And it's one of the absolute best MCU films. It's one of the top 3 best Spider-Man movies. I can go on as to why I love this movie, but I don't want to give anything away because it's so easy to. But everyone killed it in this film, and it really lived up to the hype and more. I love Spider-Man No Way Home. It's such an incredible film, and I can't wait to see where they take this character next, and just a feature of the MCU in general. Number one, the best movie of 2021, in my opinion, is Dune. Dune is a science fiction masterpiece that I believe will be talked about for years to come. This film is jaw-dropping, it's mesmerizing, it's truly epic in every sense of the word. The visual effects are amongst the best I have ever seen. The set pieces and spectacle of it all, it was so appealing to the eye, and it put a huge ass smile on my face the entire time. Hans Zimmer's score, probably the top 3 best scores he's ever done, and that's saying a lot. He's been in the industry for how many years now, and this is like one of his absolute best. On a technical level, this is a perfect film. Everything else is masterful, though. The A-list cast here, it was extraordinary. Timothée Chalamet, who I don't know why is not getting Oscar consideration for his lead performance in this movie, because it's his best performance of his career. And everyone else is just so, it's just so incredible. Everyone really has a time to shine. Everyone played their parts perfectly, and everyone had so much range in this movie too. And the true star of this film is director Denis Villeneuve, who directs the film like the master he is. It's a blockbuster that's primarily focused with character arcs and world building. I'm not exaggerating when I say that Dune Part 2 is one of my most anticipated films of all time now. My expectations were so high for this movie, and somehow they were surpassed. I shouldn't be surprised because the director has been so consistent over the past decade, but he never ceases to amaze. And Dune is my number one favorite movie of 2021. That's my list of my top 10 best movies of 2021. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will be coming out with another video this week, the top 10 most anticipated films of 2022. And I'm excited to share that video with you guys. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to like this video, share the video if you want, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and I'll see you guys next time. I apologize for my YouTube hiatus, but hopefully this makes up for it. Thank you guys again, and I will see you guys next time with my top 10 most anticipated films of 2022 list. So until then, take care, have a good one,